Hello friends, welcome back to another Zero to Hero Restoration Shaman video where I'm using my one button setup to heal some Mythic Plus dungeons. Here we are on the first pull of a +5 Seat of the Triumvirate. Oh, and someone goes down. I'm not exactly sure what happened, if he was in some overlaps or something, but we're doing the 2 subjugator pull. Pretty standard. I did remember to use the lust this time, so that's something I'm pretty happy about. Alright, finishing up the first pull here. If you want to follow along with this Zero to Hero challenge, I'm going to put the link to my sequence in the description below. And you can check out my guide on how to install it for Grip EMS. It's the macro sequencer that I'm using right now. And while you're down there, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button so you don't miss the next Zero to Hero episode. Okay, and these next 2 packs are pretty much the same as the first pack, just separated, with a subjugator who puts the circles down. They can be removed with a freedom type effect. And the other little guys, like the champion, who will charge at the tank, and then the caster who's doing some bolts. So next season, I'm thinking about re-rolling my main. I heard that the GM class has a super overpowered ability called Death Touch. I'm looking forward to using that. I'm just kidding, but if you guys haven't heard, there was a big scandal that GM was in a Mythic Plus dungeon with their friends, and when they were just about to brick their key by going over time by a few seconds, he just instantly killed the last mob and the last boss for them. So obviously that's really bad, and the guy was fired pretty much the next day. And then they said that the players are gonna get some kind of punishment, but I don't know what that is yet. They're probably gonna get like a 1-month ban and their titles revoked for this season, something like that. But that's crazy that that happened. And it blew up really big in the WoW community. So I'm kind of curious what would have happened if nobody found out about it. Like, would they have gotten in trouble? Would Blizzard have known? It brings up a lot of questions. Anyways, for this boss, what you gotta do is just dodge the frontal, take the puddles to the edge of the room, like that, and then when the ads spawn, just kill the ads before they get to the boss. Pretty easy, unless people are confused on what to do with the ads. And here my tank is pulling some extra dudes for some reason. Not really sure what they're for, but they're on the way in. I don't know if they're part of Lynn Dormy's guidance. I know he's got it activated, so I'm not sure if that's the case or not. Okay, and now we're killing those little guys. And then we're going to be on to the next section where we're just going to open this door right behind me, jump down, and kill all the Rift Guardians. Alright, so here we go. Pulling these guys, the little flying dudes, into the Rift Warden. This is a pretty normal pull also. Kind of scary sometimes, so I'm ready with my cooldown totem, the Healing Tide totem. But things are looking pretty good. I don't think I'll need to put it down. Just dodge these circles. And that guy went down pretty fast, so we're on to the next one. Killing these bird things. The Rift Warden. And then pulling in this next pack. That's something I do on my tank also, but you just gotta be careful when you get knocked back, because you're gonna get charged with 2 of the charges. So, when he gets knocked back, I'm gonna target him so that he gets a little bit of extra heals. Or we can just make sure the champions are dead when he gets knocked back. Alright, pretty easy so far. The +5 is not really stressing out my Resto Shaman too much. So the hero achievement is pretty much in the bag. I think it's only +6 and +7s. So this is actually the first time that I'm pushing Mythic Plus as a healer. And I can tell that I'm learning a lot of things, even when I'm using just one button and healing people with that, such as triage healing, the damage patterns of the dungeons, dispelling and using my utility, and stuff like that. So it's pretty fun to learn new things, and I'm pretty excited to see how far I can push it. I know I'm not going to be doing like the maximum level of keys, but I do wonder, what is the maximum level you can do with just pushing one button? Let me know in the comments how far you think the one button setup can go. This pull is also one that sometimes can feel a little bit scary. I think it's probably just people getting hit by the ground explosions though, really. But just in case, I still have one of my cooldown totems if I need it. Now we're on the long walk up to the next boss. Oh yeah, but we're using Lindormi's guidance, so it does tell you to kill these 2 packs right here. I would have skipped them if I was tanking, but I'm not tanking, so I'm just gonna follow. I think Lindormi's guidance is a good thing they added to the game. I personally don't really ever use it, because when they added it, it was only up to 5, +5 key levels. And then later on they added it so that you can just have it guide you through any level of dungeon. But by then I already knew all the routes, and I like to be able to move around, like which mobs I take and things, just in case something happens in a dungeon anyways. But it is nice to have it as an option. Okay, here we are finishing off the last few mobs before the next boss. These are all mobs we've seen already. Just gotta dodge this stuff. Make sure we're just killing them down evenly. We do have this Rift Warden that we're gonna have to kill in order to spawn the boss right here, but shouldn't take us too long. And then for these guys, you do have to make sure that you don't bring them too far away from the rift, or else bad things will happen to the party. Okay, for this boss, there are 3 targets, and they all share the same health pool, so cleaving them down is really good. Then they spawn these bombs on the ground. You can run over them to soak them, if you're the tank, that is. It's good to soak a couple of them, because when you put the circles down, they're going to explode the bombs and do some damage. And if you soaked a few of them as a tank, it'd do a little bit less damage. Other than that, you have to kick the Shade Wing that jumps out and starts casting. It's like a disorient or something bad happens if you cast it. just make sure you kick it every time. Also, as another tip, make sure that you are stacked up a bit and not spread out too far so that when the bombs spawn, they aren't spread out all over the place.
Line on you.
Other than that, if you follow those pretty simple instructions, this boss is pretty easy.
Interrupt. AOE incoming.
When I made the one button setup for Mistweaver Monk, I thought that was going to be the only healer that you could use one button to heal with. Mostly because of the fist weaving playstyle. But now that I see that the Shaman can actually heal through most of the damage with just one button, I'm going to have to go through all of the healers and see what they can do with one button also. Alright, we got some new mobs here. The Void Infused Destroyer does this big frontal, and then also puts some circles on people. You don't want to get hit by those circles. Or the frontal, of course. And then these casters that are with them, they start a cast that you have to kick, or else they're going to do an AoE magic hit on every melee that they do. Okay, here he's pulling another one of these destroyers. As you know, if you're a follower of the channel, I'm a main tank normally. So it's interesting to see all these tanks and how they pull the dungeons and what they do in the dungeon. I've only really got to see like lower IO type tanks because as a healer and a DPS I haven't pushed higher than as a tank. But it would be interesting to see like a higher level tanks and see what they do. So next season I might be pushing my DPS up like as high as I can, and that way I'll get to see a lot of things. Now we gotta fight two of these destroyers at once, so just watch out on the ground for the frontal and the AoE hits around people. When I first started doing this dungeon as a tank, I used to terrorize my group by pulling these two plus the one before this, so 3 destroyers at once, so nobody was able to stop moving the whole time. I bet the healers hated that. Now we're in the final area of mobs for the dungeon. Looking at the count, it looks like we are good if we just stopped here. But that would be kind of crazy with this group because we just have to make sure that we never go over to grab the rest of the mobs. So we're just going to be overcount for this dungeon. That's not going to be a problem. I think we're going to time it anyways. And in the last packs here, you can see the Grand Shadow Weavers are the ones that put down these stars on the ground. And then they shoot out the orbs. And you just gotta watch out not to get hit by those, because those are some of the hardest hitting things in the dungeon here. And as soon as this pack is dead, that'll be all the mobs finished, and just 2 more bosses to go.
A willing sacrifice has been prepared.
Alright, now we're on to the boss. This guy spawns the same stars, 3 of them around the room. Watch out and don't get hit by the orbs, because this is what wipes people most of the time in this boss. And so now he's going to do a second set of stars, and at the same time going to spawn some tentacles. And then the tentacles fixate on a player and do like a beam attack to them. So you gotta DPS down the tentacles before this intermission where the shadow comes and takes over the whole room. And once he pushes you back and the shadow takes over, just make sure you DPS him down and then repeat the same thing over again.
Watch your Watch your ads coming. Great despair emanating from within.
Okay, with that boss out of the way, we are on to the last boss of this dungeon, which also happens to be the last boss of this season. It's Lura. But before we get to do that, we have quite a bit of RP.
Hurry, heroes.
Something I really don't like about Mythic Plus dungeons is when they have long RP and just like waiting around and not doing anything.
Occurred when mortals were involved. What fascinating implications. Such musings can wait, though.
And I like to hang out in the bubble when he's spawning, but most people don't like to come and hang out with me in there. And so as soon as it spawns in, it's going to do a couple of attacks onto the tank, and then it's going to go right into its spinny attack. And for that, you just got to make sure you dodge in the beams. It's going to be doing a lot of AoE damage as the healer, but my totems take care of that pretty easily. Now you got to make sure to aim your beam at one of the notes, and you'll know you're aiming it right when the beam coming out of Lura is shining a bright white. And then the rest of the notes are going to put down that circle on the ground. You just got to get out of it.
Stay away from lines.
And then we'll repeat this again with the spinny attack. And the lines don't get hit. Pretty much a one-shot for anyone. And then we'll aim our beams again. And if you're like me, you can just aim it before they even come out. And now that we hit all the beams, we're going to go into the damage amp phase, which starts right now. And I can go ahead and hit the lust button. Yeah, I could hit the lust button at any second now, but... Oh, there it goes. Hitting the lust button. It's like I know what I'm doing. But there we have it. A +3 on this Seat of the Triumvirate. Mythic +5. Alright, I'll see you guys on the next Zero to Hero video.